A perfect storm of meteorological conditions left Gillespie County particularly vulnerable to fire, and Saturday afternoon, a very bad one broke out near Crabapple Road, about 8 miles north of Fredericksburg. TPR's Jack Morgan went there on Monday to get a look.
Highways 16 and 1631 were closed Monday morning due to the fire that started Saturday afternoon. I checked in with Leo and Liz Tynan at their house perched overlooking a canyon on Highway 965, Enchanted Rock Road.
My wife and I were just walking out of the front door of the house to go down to San Antonio, and what struck me was just this giant plume of smoke. And out here living in the country, you're always sensitive to that.
The first picture he took suggested a massive fire, and it was taken just about a half hour after the fire started.
We know several people who live over in that direction, and one of our friends who lives over there we knew was working in town that day, and we knew that he kept his dog at his house during the day.
They rushed over to that friend's house to find that the fire was a little south and his dog and home were not in danger. That friend's house did provide one thing.
But from his promontory, he lives on a hilltop. We got a pretty commanding view of the fire there.
The house was on a ridgeline overlooking the valley where Crabapple Creek meanders.
From where we were, we could see that it wasn't a single fire that was advancing along. What was happening is the wind was probably carrying embers a good distance out ahead of it. And you could see literally explosions along the horizon when it would hit into dense cedar areas where the trees would just explode.
Fire was marching across rugged ranches and near quiet country homes.
Looking at it, we thought there's no way that ground crews are going to get this thing under any kind of control without, some aerial support. And sure enough, after about 30 minutes, they showed up.
High winds and rough topography made fighting the fire by hand incredibly dangerous.
The conditions to be on the ground were terrible. In the rugged ravines where it was, getting in there to try to fight it by hand or bulldozer and truck would have been impossible.
Tynan says that between the drought killing off trees and the winter storm 4 years ago killing off thousands of others, there was plenty of dead wood waiting for an ember from a backyard cookout, a careless cigarette, or some other spark. Some folks mulch dead trees, but many burn them.
Burning is the cheapest and the quickest and can be done safely when there's been plenty of rain and the countryside is green, and you can easily control big brush pile burns that way.
There is no word yet on how this fire started. Tynan offered to show me where the fire started, so we headed that way in his pickup. We passed miles of parched and occasional smoldering landscape and a pond where a dark green military helicopter dipped down and filled its bag with water and flew away. Then we noticed a new source of smoke from the direction where we'd driven. We quickly retraced our route.
And then all of a sudden there's a flare-up now of some brush that has reignited. The winds are picking back up now out of the south, and the helicopter has been called in to airdrop some water over it. They're still definitely putting out hot spots.
Due to that shift in winds, 30 to 40-foot flames were billowing up within a few hundred yards of an already charred area. Tynan says dozens of landowners with cattle trailers have voluntarily moved cattle and horses to safer areas. Gillespie County Sheriff's Department says at this writing about 500 residents had been evacuated and about 9,700 acres have been destroyed. I'm Jack Morgan in Fredericksburg.